Well, this is the big story this week. The Indian IT industry is again at an inflection point. There are new opportunities, but there are also challenges in the form of AI. Infosys is the only major IT company in India to report revenue growth in the first quarter, and I'm talking about the Big Five. Infosys saw sequential growth of 2.6% in constant currency terms. All other tech companies in the Big Five saw their sales contract. Growth is moderating across the sector after a sharp surge fueled by the pandemic. Employee strength at India's top IT companies also been on the decline. TCS, meanwhile, has announced 12,000 job cuts, the largest that the industry has seen so far this year. IT industry body NASCOM has warned of more potential job cuts, citing the shift away from traditional service delivery to more product-aligned delivery models. Industry body NASCOM says, and I quote, "In the near term, this shift may lead to some workforce rationalization as traditional skill sets are re-evaluated," end of quote. Well, joining me now to discuss the growth blueprint for Infosys and the future of the Indian IT industry is Salil Parekh, the CEO of Infosys. Salil, always a pleasure. Many thanks for joining us here on CNBC-TV18. I can't help but start by asking you about the questions that are being raised about the Indian IT services model. We've just seen TCS announce job cuts of 12,000 at this point in time. NASCOM, as I just pointed out, has talked about rationalization as far as workforce is concerned. What is the problem, Salil? And are you also starting to see some of this trickle into the workforce at Infosys? Will you also be looking at job cuts, job rationalization as well?
So thanks, Shereen, for having me here. It's always good to be on this program. With respect to what we are seeing, last week we announced our results. As you shared, we had growth in the quarter, we had growth year on year. We had strong growth, for example, in financial services, in manufacturing, energy utilities segment that we have. We had good growth in Europe. We had very strong large deals at $3.8 billion, one mega deal as well. And what we see, all of that is coming from, first, there's a strong attention to AI. And there, Infosys has built over the last several years a very strong approach into AI. Today, we have 300 agents which are doing work within our clients. So that gave us a good traction. Second, to do AI well for large companies, there are two big foundational elements. One is data and one is cloud. And both of those are areas where we have tremendous strength. We saw very good growth, for example, on the cloud side. Then what we saw is a lot of clients are selecting Infosys as they go through consolidation decisions. So all of that gave us a good traction and gave us the growth with which we increased our growth guidance for the full year. In terms of recruitment, we had a strong recruitment in the first quarter, over 17,000 employees, both lateral and from colleges. And our plan for the full year is to recruit 20,000 college graduates, and that continues. So all of that is giving us a good view into what is going on. And we continue to see all of that change reflected in how Infosys and clients are working. Some of these things we started quite early, our attention to AI, what we've done with large deals. We also work very closely on programs which are mid-size and small, and of course our attention internally to become more efficient on cost.
Salil, thanks for articulating the many measures that you've taken. But I just want to understand if you believe that Infosys finds itself insulated from the pain that your peers are talking about. And to my point about rationalization, you said that you are recruiting. You recruited 17,000 people in Q1, and you're on target, at least at this point in time, to recruit 20,000 college graduates. So while the recruitment continues, is there any effort or any attempt at any effort to look at rationalization on the back of perhaps a skills mismatch or a supply-demand mismatch or more use of AI within the organization?
So there, Shri, there's a couple of elements. So first, our utilization is running at a good level. And with that, we see that all of the people that are joining us are getting deployed on projects. I mean, joining us from college, getting trained, getting deployed on projects, and the people across the whole company at that high level of utilization. On AI, we see two different components to it. So one, we see where there are growth elements. Ones we talked about on data, cloud, which are supporting, and then AI itself, where we see some new type of work that comes in with AI. And the second is where we see productivity, which comes from AI, which gives us more efficiency in doing the work we were doing in the past. When we put all of this together, what we understand from the market today is there is overall expansion in the addressable market, and that gives us a good traction. In addition, we are seeing a good activity with our clients on enterprise solutions. So those solutions where we have very strong skills, we see quite a strong demand, and those continue to roll out. We see good recruitment, good utilization in that. And then what I shared earlier, we see where we are getting benefits of some consolidation decisions that our clients are making. So when we put all of that together, we see that the reskilling that we've started with AI earlier with digital is what is helping us and making sure that our people are getting deployed at a high utilization level.
So Salil, and I come back to the point that perhaps TCS is dealing with some specific issues, but NASCOM represents the industry. NASCOM doesn't represent a specific company. Now, NASCOM's statement talks about workforce rationalization. So I'm just trying to understand where this dissonance seems to be coming from, because you're saying that you don't see that at this point in time. You don't feel that there is going to be a need for Infosys specifically to rationalize. In fact, you believe you're on course to continue with your recruitment plan. So I'm trying to understand where this dissonance is coming from. Were you surprised with the NASCOM statement?
So there, Shereen, I don't know what some of the other points of view are. What I was more sort of focused on was where we see what we see within Infosys and within the clients we are working with. And that's some of the information or data that I was sharing. And that's the approach that we are taking, making sure that we support our clients. My sense is we've also started, working on some of these areas quite a while ago. For example, on AI, we've taken a view to make everything inside Infosys AI first. We've built a small language model in financial services. We built 4 different small language models, one horizontal, one on IT operations. We're working with most of the major foundation models in supporting our clients. So some of that work has started quite early. But to your point, I'm not sure where some of the other statements outside of Infosys are from.
So let me address some of those other statements, Salil. And the big statement that seems to be cutting across different voices is that there is an existential crisis that faces the Indian IT services model again. I go back to a conversation that your former peer, C.P. Gurnani, who headed Tech Mahindra, had with us on the channel a few days ago. And he used that Sholay dialogue, says that the model of kitne aadmi hai, that era is over for Indian IT services companies. How do you respond to both? One, that this has largely been linear, man-driven, man-hour-driven model. And two, the fact that this is perhaps an existential moment for the Indian IT services industry.
So there, the way we are seeing this again, a little bit from the Infosys lens initially. Large companies, large organizations worldwide are more and more using technology. So with enterprise AI, that's becoming even more prevalent. The previous cycle, where we've discussed several times over the past years, was more focused on digital. Today, it's more focused on AI. My sense is technology, as it becomes more central with large companies and with the large, complex technology ecosystems that they have within these large enterprises, becomes more and more important. And Infosys, who has, like, we have a depth in the industry. So you take an industry, banking, you take an industry, utilities, you take an industry, telco. We have a depth in understanding how that industry works, and we have a depth in technology. We bring those together for the benefit of our clients. So with that technology change, with the way that we are driving technology usage within Infosys for the benefit of our clients, I see that continuing to be a good outlook for Infosys with the changes in technology. That's the approach we've taken. That's the approach that we believe remains important for the global enterprises. And that's how we see today, at least what we saw in terms of what we shared last week in the first quarter, what we saw, the growth, what we saw in financial services, in manufacturing. That's the approach that we are looking at, Shereen.